Happy Friday. If there's ever been a need for a cocktail on a Friday, this is one of those Fridays, Nat.
That's right.
So welcome to the show. Welcome you guys all for being here. Special alpha type guest. An alpha man, Alpha M is going to be joining us on the show today. The infamous Aaron Marino. Welcome to the Soscast. This is where finance meets romance. I tend to say this is the sexiest financial podcast in the world, and we only have one sexy girl here today. Yesterday we had a bunch. Miss USA,
yes,
influencer, model. Today we only have one sexy man with us today, and we're going to introduce him in a second. That's Aaron Marino, a.k.a. Alpha M.
And you.
Oh, I'm a sexy man too? I'll take it.
You pass.
Fuck yeah, all right. Using that leverage. Welcome you guys to Valuetainment Money, the Soscast. This is where we help men get paid, laid, and do it your way. And I think we have a guest today that is going to help you accomplish all those things. This guy is a total G. If you have not subscribed to the Alpha M channel, then you are missing the boat, because this guy's got over 6 million subscribers. I've been watching this guy. I know a lot of dudes that have been watching this guy. One person said in the chat today, it's like, what?
It's like waiting for Jesus.
It's like waiting for Jesus. Okay, and I'm Jewish, and I'm like, you know what? I kind of feel you on that one right there. But I'm excited to learn more from our guest today and about our guest today. And the entire premise of the show is to help you guys achieve status in your life, whether it's financial status, dating status, relationship status, business status, increasing your status. So, and I know Aaron's going to have a lot of insight on that. So stay tuned for that. Quick shout out. Speaking of financial status, you know, I'm all about saving that money, baby, and being smart with your money. Here's one thing you should consider, and I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Goldco. I just did a podcast 15 minutes ago with PBD, our CEO. He's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, total G, and we actually spoke about like what type of sponsors we want to advocate of. And we get a lot of financial sponsors, a lot of people pitching us, and even gold companies. We like kind of went through the gamut of what type of gold companies are out there, and we actually vetted this company called Goldco because they are actually a reputable, legitimate financial strategy for you to consider. So with everything that's going on in the world these days, money printing, inflation, CPI index, all the costs of everything, the cost of goods going out there, protecting your money in terms of inflation, a lot of people are turning into gold and silver to protect their savings and their retirements and their investments. And the key element of that is diversification. So what I would recommend, if I was that guy that was like, switch over 100% of your money to gold, like, feel free to be like, Adam, what the hell are you talking about? A very small percentage of your wealth strategy, diversification, you should consider looking into commodities like gold and silver. And that's exactly what Goldco does. So moving some, not all of your money, you can shield yourself from the economic chaos that we're seeing in today. So with that being said, we partnered with Goldco. They're the best at what they do. We vetted them. We just discussed this with PBD. If you call them now, you can get up to $10,000 in free silver. $10,000 in free silver. Here is their number, 855-966-0109. That's Goldco, 855-966-0109. If this is something you've been thinking about or considering, just pick up the phone. It's kind of like that girl. I don't know. Should I call her? Should I not call her? Just pick up the phone and call the girl. Send the text, right, Nat?
Yeah, send
Make the call. So anyway, thank you, Goldco, for sponsoring today. We appreciate it. Now, with that being said, I'm looking forward to the next hour and change that we have with Aaron Marino, a.k.a. Alpha M. Let's see if we can get him up and running. Aaron, you with us right now?
I'm with us. What's happening?
Okay,
guys?
let's pump that volume up a little bit if we can, Jorge.
All
That
right.
was to our team here. Aaron, how's that? Better?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right,
I'm
now
good.
he
How are you
sounds
guys?
amazing.
Yeah.
He looks amazing. He sounds amazing. Aaron, happy Friday. Thank you for being with us today, brother.
Happy Friday. I'm so excited to be here, guys. I am a huge fan of what you guys are doing, and you know, the mission of Soscast is pretty incredible and definitely aligns with you know, why I started Alpha M.
Yeah, and you started Alpha M, I want to say, early, mid-2000s. When did you get started in this YouTube game? Because let me just make sure, you're a massive YouTuber. You started off as, I believe, as image consultant. I've seen your videos. I've seen your videos in the shower. I've seen you working out. I've seen you grooming. I've seen maybe more than you should see of another man as a straight man. But you're an uplifting voice, as you say, in a sea of negativity. So how did you get started in becoming the man that you are today?
Where do we begin?
Where do we begin?
I grew up a poor kid that was super insecure in Philadelphia. I think that's really where it came from. I moved around in terms of schools. My mom was married and divorced a few times. And so one of the things that was, kind of apparent to me is you've got to really take care of yourself in terms of your presentation, your social skills. And that's kind of where it started. It was me trying to just kind of navigate just being insecure and poor. And so started, learning how to dress, going to thrift stores. I started cutting my hair when I was 8 years old because I got a bad haircut. And so it's always been just something that I'm interested in. And so, going through college, I was cutting people's hair just to pay bills and to get some beer money. And so it was just a natural progression. I've always really been into fitness. And so my wife gave me a video camera back in 2007. And I thought it was because she wanted to film ourselves getting freaky, but it was apparently not. And so what do you do with a video camera? You basically, put it away. And then I started an image consulting business after my health club failed and I had to file bankruptcy. It was, what can I do that doesn't require much startup cash? And so I started posting videos on YouTube, just trying to help other guys with questions that I had. It's like, okay, well, if I've had the question, this was back in 2008. And so it was early days YouTube and, online, it was early days internet, honestly. And so if there was a, question that I had, whether or not it's like what to do with your butt hair or, manscaping or how to dress, it was in the time, it was right around the time that Queer Eye for the Straight Guy came out. And I thought maybe there's an opportunity for, guys to get advice from a straight guy. And so it was kind of a natural progression, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Yeah, I love exactly what you said there. By the way, can we turn him up a little bit? I would love to hear everything Aaron's saying. That's actually like perfect segue to my first question that I had for you, because you talked about, image consulting and the Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, and these 5 gay guys are basically cleaning up men and, teaching men how to look better, dress better, act better, be more confident. The irony coming from 5 gay guys. Respect, all good, have gay friends. I'm not saying like that. But you being a straight man who, you said you're married?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you have kids?
Yep. No kids.
Working on it? All right. But
cats.
like you said,
no,
all right.
Lots of cats.
Cats.
I'm kidding. Wait. I'm sorry. My wife has cats.
Okay, gotcha.
That would ruin my street cred. Okay.
But like you being an alpha masculine men teaching men how to look better, dress better, how to be better in the bedroom, how to work out, make more money, like all that stuff. I think, ironically, that is more needed now, more today than ever, even more than in 2008, which is ironic. So the question that I had for you was this, I've always been someone who like at least tries to look good and feel good and sound good and smell good. That's just, I don't like sloppy people. I don't like gross people. I'll say to a buddy, dude, like clean it up a little bit. Like I might go to somebody I don't even know and be like, yo, you're looking kind of gross today. Like I'm that dude, right? But a lot of times I remember hearing this term like metrosexual. Oh, Adam, you're metrosexual. I was like, I don't even know what that means. Does that mean I dress well? Whatever. So I'll never forget. There's this girl, Yeonmi Park. Right? I don't know if you know who that is. The most famous North Korean dissident. She escaped North Korea. Amazing girl. She's been on the podcast with us a few times. She'll be back. And she says to me, like after hanging out a few times, she goes, "You're so good looking, but you're gay, right?" I was like, "What?" And she said this in front of a bunch of people, like my friends, like the homies. And I was like, "Huh, what?" She's like, "You're gay." I was like, "What?" She's like, "I think you're gay. You dress so nice. You smell good. You're gay." And shout out to my North Koreans out there. Don't cancel me, Kim Jong-un. And I was like, not only am I not gay, I'm gonna take you in the back right now, Yeonmi. I'm gonna show you how not gay I am. All right, boom. So obviously, joking. I was like, no, I'm not gay. But her conception or misconception was like, oh, you dress well, you're eloquent, you do your hair, you care about how you smell, you must be gay. I'm like, no, you couldn't be further from the truth. So my question to you is this, like, how do you thread the needle, so to speak, between being an alpha man, looking your best, feeling your best, looking good, smelling good, everything, but also not being feminine and not being that metrosexual guy that girls are like, oh, he must be gay. How do you balance that? And how can men balance that?
Don't make out with dudes.
Step one, don't actually be gay.
Don't make out with dudes and you're not gay. No, I think it's a great question. And when I started talking about this kind of stuff, it was when that term metrosexual was just kind of becoming a thing. And now it's just so absurd. Everybody realizes, it's crazy competitive. You better look good. You better smell good. You better have good social skills. You've got to take care of yourself because there's so many people that understand this, and your competition has never been more fierce for relationships, for sex, for money, for everything. And so I think it's become just a lot more acceptable and socially acceptable in terms of what not to do. I think there is a fine line between over grooming, over, wearing clothing that's, way too tight. You don't want to come across as feminine. And I think that's, not that there's anything wrong with feminine dudes, but I think there is a fine line between being well groomed, taking care of yourself, and being perceived as overly feminine. But I really think that a lot of the people that are saying, hey, it's feminine or it's gay to look good these people are probably not getting the girl, not making the social situations. They're not the guy that you really need to be. They're not the guy that you need to be worried about, honestly, because they're probably just fucking disasters. Can we curse here or no?
Yes.
As much as you want, brother.
Okay,
I love what you said there.
I figured.
And I love what you said specifically about it's super competitive out there. And let's go deeper on this competitive. Men are competitive, right, by nature.
Yeah.
Right? Women are also competitive. When they use competitive, it's a little more catty, right, Natalia?
Yeah.
Rare. But it's for some guys, it's easier than ever to get laid and meet women. But that's for some guys, the top 20%. For most guys, it's a lot harder. Right? It's almost like what they came up with the term during COVID, the K-shaped economy, which is the top part of the K, the rich got richer and the poor got poorer. So because whether it's wealth, right? Whether it's your physique, looks, whether it's your game, what sets you apart these days, it's so much harder to do that. So the common knock these days against men is they're not masculine enough. Or there's this term, sort of mansplaining, but also man-shaming, like toxic masculinity. Oh, he's a toxic masculine guy. Everything's associated with Andrew Tate example. But this kind of is a follow-up to my initial question, like, how do you balance being a man, being an alpha, being masculine, but not being labeled, oh, he's one of those toxic men you need to stay away from? Yeah. How do you do that? And then how do men as a whole balance that as well?
And that's the thing. The whole term toxic masculinity is such bullshit, honestly. And unfortunately, it hurts the guys that are not in that scenario, and they're not the problem. But it hurts them because they feel insecure. They also are so concerned and worried and consumed about possibly being labeled that they regress and they don't actually go after what they want or what they need or ask for help when they need it. And so I think it just comes down to having a secure sense of self. And I think that a lot of the guys that do fall into that trap or that label, they're dealing with something, whether or not it's insecurity, whether or not they're trying to cover up, they're trying to prove to the outside world that they're valuable, that they're successful. A true man and an alpha male, in my opinion, is somebody who's secure in themselves, who lifts other people up, that does the best job they can. They're not oppressing anybody. They're not putting anybody down. They're just trying to get what they want, whether or not it's sex, whether or not it's, relationships or finances, or they want a nice car, like whatever it is, they're willing to put themselves out there and go after it. But it's getting more challenging in today's world. The other problem is that we look at that 1%. A lot of guys, in terms of their self-esteem, are taking a hit or a knock because they're looking at social media, they're looking at the internet or YouTube, and they're seeing that 1%, those exceptional people doing exceptional things, and because they don't have or they haven't achieved what they see other people, it makes them feel insecure and bad about themselves, like they are not achieving or they're not the man that they're destined to be or should be. And so I think, it's a really tricky time right now to be a dude, honestly.
Yeah, it's a very tricky time to be a dude. I keep this look, and you're talking. You strike me as the type of person that loves women, has female friends. I'm that dude that loves my mom, loves my grandma, has girlfriends, goes out with girls, hangs out with, can have girlfriends, respects women, but at the same time, like, I'm a homie. I played college football. I was hanging with the boys. You can do both. So one of the things that I always say, like there's the famous quote, as far as like this attack on masculinity and being a dude and being an alpha these days, I would much rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener. Than a gardener at war. Right? You've heard this term before. So,
yep.
And Jordan Peterson talks about it. Like the type of man you need to be is a fucking crazy psychopath, ready to die for the cause that he's working in and working within, but also channeling that and not being that psychopath, but only utilizing it when needed, like getting in touch with your emotions and being emotional. A lot of men these days, they're raised by single mothers, let's say. Those are the types of men that lash out. So this attack on masculinity seems to be a thing. And the more I do this show and the more I talk to men who feel attacked, the Craig Ferguson.
Yeah, but here's my question:
yeah.
Who's attacking him? Like explain these men that are the whole manosphere is a weird place. These aren't
that's
necessarily
literally where
the
I was
type
going.
of men that those are not the type of men that I would consider alphas. Honestly, it's not that there's anything wrong with the manosphere, but there is something wrong, I feel like, with the manosphere. And personally, I do not consider myself to be a part of that. The ironic thing is that the name of my YouTube channel is alpha male. It's kind of tongue in cheek, right? It was never intended to be, this was also when I started the channel, alpha wasn't a bad word. Now, you call yourself alpha, it's not necessarily the greatest thing in the world, right?
Right.
And so, the manosphere is a symptom of a problem of men feeling insecure, a problem with men feeling like they have been left behind. There are a lot of problems, and I see the manosphere as just a symptom of a greater problem. And a lot of it does revolve around men not feeling good about themselves, having low self-esteem, not doing hard shit and figuring stuff out and having successes and failures, honestly. And so
when you say part of a bigger problem, go deeper, if you will. Mm-hmm. What prompted this problem? Was it modern feminism and these modern day women? Basically, was it the Me Too movement? Was it men not being the man that they wanted to be, and like this black pill community talk about? What do you think is the root of this problem?
I think part of it is not having good role models. And I think that we neglect to realize, just the importance of having a good male role model. You mentioned earlier about a lot of, men being raised by single women. Well, that's one thing, but really having and looking towards, men that are successful, that are competent, that are confident, that aren't oppressive, that aren't, being a dickhead. They're just good men. I think that's one of the biggest problems, is that we've also gotten really selfish. I believe that's another possible problem and reason why I think, we've gotten very selfish. The society has gotten selfish. We haven't, I don't know, everything's kind of become about stuff, about materialism. And I think that's another possible problem as well. I don't know if that answers the question. I don't even know.
I appreciate it. There's definitely a lack of role models and a lack of leadership, especially in America today. I think we're looking up to the wrong people. I think part of social media, the problem with social media is even the people that you're looking up to, they're kind of freaking faking it. Mm-hmm. So there's this need for authenticity these days. Hey, man, I don't know. I kind of like that guy. He kind of fucks up. He says the wrong things, but man, that's that dude. Like, so for instance, I have this conversation with my mentor, CEO, friend, partner, business partner, Patrick Bet-David, and it's all revolving around who's in your ear. Who's in your ear saying this? Like, I have him. It's almost like like every guy has like the angel and the devil. I'm lucky enough to have him in my ear. Mm-hmm. And then I have my best friend who's a stud of a guy, he's like, bro, don't settle down. Don't get a girlfriend. Let's be those single players for life. Where Patrick, it's like, find yourself a good girl, have a legacy, right? Who's in your ear? And this is my best friend that wants to party like a rock star forever until we're 100 years old. And a man who's like, no, be a family man, have that in your life. So it's so important who's in your ear. You know, they say your network is your net worth, who you're surrounding yourself with. So 2 questions. Number 1, how did you turn out so well, Aaron? Who was in your ear? Who was your mentors? Who were the leaders what posters were on your wall, literally, and who was kind of the encouraging voice in your life? But then part B, what kind of people did you have to get out of your life and say, yeah, buddy, you were my college buddy, you were my college roommate, we used to party together, we used to do this, but I got to upgrade my lifestyle. So who was in your ear, and who did you have to cut out of your ear?
Yeah, that's a really good question. You know, the one thing I will just lead with is it's okay to outgrow people. I think one of the unfortunate things is that whole like ride or die, bros before hoes, that mentality holds a lot of people back from truly, being like, you know what, you're awesome, you're a cool dude. It doesn't mean that you're a bad dude, but I just can't hang out with you because you're not going in the place that I want to, and you're dragging me down. For me, it's easy. It's my grandfather, Frank Cassoni, one of my biggest heroes. Number 2 is my wrestling coach. Back in high school, he came into my life when I needed it the most in terms of just a really positive male role model, and then my father. And so the 3 men that really inspire me and took care of me in terms of my emotional, just helped me basically be a decent person. And then YouTube is actually an interesting answer, but YouTube made me be a better person. Not that I was like a shithead before, but what happened was when I realized it was almost like this epiphany. One day I realized, oh my God, people are actually listening to me. And I never wanted to be the person that would say one thing and then behind closed doors, or if they met me in person or they saw me at a bar, I was that idiot that was basically living a lie. And I think that's really when people get super upset. You'll have these celebrities like Tiger Woods. If he would have just come out and been like, yo, I'm rich, I'm handsome, I like getting ass. Like everybody been like, yeah, I get that.
That's my guy.
Exactly. It's like, dude, Tiger, like knuckle bump, right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Respect.
Okay, but he came. It's when they don't align. And so YouTube, for me, when I realized sort of the power of it and the fact that there were these young men and older men that were looking up to me, I needed to be a better person. And so I stopped drinking as much. I stopped, I stopped using profanity as much as I had been. And it really just opened my eyes to the power and the importance of walk the walk. Because, every day I get up and say the same thing. Don't fuck it up today. And that goes for my business. That goes for my relationship. That goes for pretty much every aspect of my life, because I know how bad it can be. And so I'm just very fortunate that I'm as happy, healthy, and I'm doing as well as I am, because I am a firm believer that 1 or 2 bad decisions, you're broke or in jail. So.
Yeah. Especially, they say the first 20 years of your life, like life comes in phases. First 20 years of your life, just don't fuck it up. Don't make any stupid mistakes, right? That's 0 through 20. Then 20 through 40, make your money, right? Save that money, invest, be smart with your money, have a budget, everything with that. The third phase, which you're kind of in right now, which I'm in right now, where I made my money, I didn't fuck it up, is to fulfill a purpose, pursue your passions, right? Like everything you're doing, like you can't fake 6.6 million subscribers and 15 years of content if you're not authentically being you and trying to help men. And then the fourth phase is giving back. And that's why you see so many older people into politics. But I want to revisit one thing you said, Aaron. You said it's okay to outgrow people. Brother, that is such a true story. So, I was that dude that in high school, I was an athlete and I hung out with all the dudes that were playing sports, okay? But none of those guys made it to the NBA, and they're still on the playground like, dude, I'm trying to ball. It's like, brother, you're 34 years old. You're not going anywhere. All right, time for me to upgrade. And then I started hanging out with the college guys. It was about drinking beer. They're all doing steroids and getting chicks and all that. It's like, all right, cool. What are you guys doing? And then I got into, then all my friends started getting married and becoming family men, late 20s, early 30s. And that wasn't for me. And I constantly had to kind of outgrow or just kind of take a different path than other friends. And respect to them. Do what you want to do with your life. So my question to you, Aaron, is like, how do you actively, like, you don't have to have a conversation with these friends. You don't have to like say, hey, it's been great knowing you, Bill, but like, I got to do better than you. But at the same time, you are going to kind of get that backlash. Like, bro, why don't you hang out anymore? What happened? You're too good for me now? Oh, you think you're too cool, Mr. Hotshot? Oh, Alpha M, you've got 6 million subscribers. Can't call anybody. Like, how can a man level up and outgrow friends without losing the friendships and pissing people off, but at the same time recognize, hey, bro, I'm doing my thing? What's your advice for the men out there?
In terms of, it all, I guess, really depends on what you consider to be, maintaining that friendship. It's okay to have, people that you're acquaintances with or touch base every once in a while. But in terms of who you choose to invest your time in, I think that's really, for me, it was a big eye-opening sort of epiphany as well, is, we talk about, time being your most valuable asset, right? And every day we choose how we invest it, and what you do and who you do and how you spend that. And so for me, what I would recommend is, if there are people, first, it's about identifying them, right? So whether or not it's a friend, whether or not it's a family member, because unfortunately, there are people in your life sometimes that are harder to remove than others. And so sometimes it's your mother, sometimes it's your father, your siblings. How do you handle it?
Hard
it really
to get rid
is
of
about
them.
First, well, yeah, right. And can you get rid of them? Or is it about redefining what your relationship is to you with them? And then from there, it's about limiting your exposure or their ability to drag you down or bring you negative energy or just suck the life or energy from you. And so it really is about setting up boundaries, and where you choose, like I said, who you choose and how you choose to allow them to be in your life is really got to be determined by you. Because once again, it's about who and how you surround yourself with, and just not apologizing for it. There's nothing wrong with wanting more or striving or seeing an opportunity, and I've said this before, there are a lot of people that I'm associated with or that I can go to a party and hang out with and just have a conversation with, right? But a lot of these dudes, they're not entrepreneurs. They're not business owners. I have very little in common with them, but I can still go and just casually have a conversation. My life really truly changed when I got around better people that were really, that were entrepreneurs. And so they talk about, find your tribe, right? Where are the people that you want to surround yourself with? Where are they hanging out? What are they doing? For me, it was a gentleman named Antonio Centeno. He's a fellow YouTuber. He's Real Men, Real Style. Up until the point of me meeting him, and he's in a very similar space as I am, I was of the mindset of scarcity, right? Where it's like, hey, I don't want to share anything. I don't want to expose myself to you because you're probably trying to steal something. And it's either I'm winning or you're winning. And if you're winning, that means I'm losing.
Right.
And it wasn't until he basically reached across the proverbial YouTube aisle and was like, hey, let's get together. Let's get some of these other people and let's just talk and commiserate. And we started this conference called the Menfluential Conference, which is actually not going on anymore. But it was at this point where everything in my life started to scale. And it had to be me getting out of my comfort zone. And that's something else I want to just encourage people that are listening or watching this is, if you're going to stay stuck, if you're going to stay stagnant, if you're going to stay in that comfort zone, hanging out with the same people, having the same conversations, doing the same thing, you are never, ever going to progress. And don't beat yourself up in 10 years when you look back and you're like, what the fuck? You're in the same place as you were. You've got to be willing to push yourself and be uncomfortable. And that is where true growth happens. It's about risking it and being willing and in a position to actually potentially fail, whether or not it's going after a girl, a job, money, whatever. If you're not striving, if you're not potentially going to really fuck things up, you're not where you need to be.
And I actually have a question for you with that answer. How do you determine when is the breaking point to cut someone off? Like you gave an example, like a father, a mother, and usually those relationships are really hard to cut off for people, especially because you have the idea that these people have the best interest for you. So when does someone get to that breaking point of, hey, this is enough, I need to move forward? Where do they start? How does someone determine that point?
I think really it becomes it's about a balance, right? And something else that I've said is like I've done therapy before. I come from a broken home. I was talking to, a therapist because, welfare or government assistance offered that, from the age of literally like 3 years old.
Wow.
And so one of the things that is important to understand is that sometimes we're collateral damage in other people's shit. It's not that they intended to fuck us up. It's not that they intended to make our lives, hell. But the first thing you need to identify is, or I should say decide, is that you are going to be happy. You are going to choose to do what you need to do, whether or not it is forgiving people. And forgiving people, that's one of the sort of the tough things, right? People say, oh, I can't forgive them. They did all this horrible stuff to me and I'll never get over it. Well, then you're never going to truly, get past it, and you're never truly going to be successful. You really need to understand that it doesn't mean you're going to forget. It doesn't mean you've got to honestly forgive them for what they did, but you're forgiving people for being imperfect. And that includes yourself. You've got to forgive yourself for not being perfect and for fucking things up and not basically living in the past and living with those mistakes. You've got to free yourself from that, whether or not it means having hard conversations, right? Whether or not it means having hard conversations with yourself or seeking help and advice or possibly a third-party perspective. And that's one of the great things about therapy. Unfortunately, talking to your mom about your mom or your dad about, or your girlfriend about your mom, it doesn't work. And so I'm a big advocate of therapy. If there's something that you're having a difficult time dealing with, go talk to somebody that doesn't have to sit next to you at Christmas dinner, that can look at you and call you on your bullshit. The other thing is you need good friends that are willing to tell you when you're wrong and tell you. I was on Shark Tank, right? I was on Shark Tank twice.
Oh.
And I'm a huge fan of the show, right? And I often say, I'll sit there and I'll watch. I'm like, you need better friends because there's no way that the problem is we tell people, and we surround ourselves oftentimes with people that tell us what we want to hear because it's not fun to hear criticism. Of course not, right?
Right.
And so if some of these entrepreneurs, 50% of them that are on Shark Tank had better friends, they wouldn't have wasted 3, 4, 5 years and $1 million going down this rabbit hole of an idea that fucking sucks, right? And so you need to surround yourself. But in terms of, back to your question, Natalia, how do you identify it? It really comes down to, do you feel like this person is giving or taking more? Like, which is it? Oftentimes if there's an imbalance, you're going to know it. And identifying, is this person taking and is it taking more of your energy than it is actually, giving back to you? And I'm not saying that all relationships need to be balanced. They're not. But, in situations like your friends or your family or these people that you do need to get away from, you need to just be honest with yourself. Are you getting more than you're giving or vice versa?
And by the way,
I love that.
What happened on Shark Tank?
The first time they hated it. It was season 4.
What was your pitch? What were you selling? What was your business?
The Alpha M style system, baby.
Okay.
It was a DVD series. I'm not
Think about that, a DVD series.
Wow.
All right.
It was and it wasn't that long ago, right? It was me. I came out with these like discs, and I came up with this like fashion formula, and I basically had pictures. And I would teach people how to dress. It was almost like Garanimals for adults. And it was awesome because this was back still when I was trying to really go deep down the image consultant rabbit hole. And so they kicked, they didn't like it, but I was like, yo, it doesn't even matter. I was trying to sell an info product. The DVD series was like $300. I'm like, it doesn't matter because I'm going to be on Shark Tank, right? And so I'm all excited. I got all this inventory. I'm having a party the night that it airs, and I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, all right, come on, here come the sales. That night that Shark Tank aired, 9 million people. Guess how many style systems I sold?
How many?
1.
Wow.
And so you want to talk about brutal,
And that guy right now is the most stylish man in America. That guy was a visionary.
But here's an interesting side note. That conference that I mentioned that I started called the Men Influential Conference, one year a guy came up to me and goes, hey, you know how you said that you sold 1 style system on Shark Tank? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I bought it. I'm like, dude, awesome. Nice. And so, and then, the second time I did better. This was season 7 maybe that I was on. It was the season finale. And I had a grooming company called Pete and Pedro. And so I went on again. And that time they invested, Barbara invested, but she wanted to invest in the Alpha M, quote unquote empire, and not necessarily the Pete and Pedro men's grooming company. And so I took the deal on the show just because I knew that it needed to be a good story, because I probably wasn't getting on a third time. And so on air, I took the deal and then quickly said thanks, but no thanks after I got home.
Oh, that's how it works. You could accept the deal on camera, but afterwards be like, yeah, I'm out.
90% of the deals you see that actually happen on the show don't actually get done after due diligence and everybody gets
By the way, that's a power move I've ever seen one, is you go through the whole Shark Tank escapade, you do this, you do that, Barbara Corcoran makes you a deal, Draymond and was it Damon John, Mark Cuban, Mark Herjavec,
Kevin O'Leary,
Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful. They're all, I'm out, I'm good, I'm off of this. You get a deal with Barbara Corcoran, you go back home and you call Barbara and you go, you know what? I'm out. See you later. I'm out. Like, that's a power move right there if I've ever seen one. Respect to you. We got about a half hour left with you. I'm loving this so far. Hope you guys are at home taking notes. We'll do super chats at the end if we can. I want to pick up on something that you said before about the manosphere, and I'm sure you've heard about like the red pill space. I do a lot of content with these guys. There's some guys who I think are awesome and have major respect for these guys. Some other guys are a little charlatan-like. That's just like in any business. But I mean, I guess, in my opinion, the number one guy in the manosphere red pill space, if you want to do it, at one point was Kevin Samuels, who I'm sure you're familiar with. And then he passed away. You knew Kevin. I can see that.
Yep.
And then, Andrew Tate has sort of been the face of the manosphere. Speaking of toxic masculinity, my business partner Patrick and I flew to Madrid. We did one of the biggest interviews with Andrew Tate right after he was canceled. I think it just crossed 11 million views. It was massive. I have a very strong opinion on him. I think the majority of what he says is actually very good for men. Very good for men. I 100%. Think where he kind of loses a lot of followers or even people who are willing to even entertain what he's saying is when he gets into the system and the matrix and especially the chauvinistic stuff, the misogynistic stuff, the women can't do X, Y, and Z stuff. But everything is kind of nuanced. There's a balance. It's not black and white. Hey, I agree with you here 100%, brother, but not on this stuff right here. So I'm kind of asking a macro perspective about the red pill and the manosphere space, but then specifically about Tate. So I guess let's start with that. What are your thoughts on Tate, good, bad, and ugly, and then the red pill space in general, manosphere space, good, bad, and ugly, what you've seen?
Yeah, no, it's funny because a few months ago, before he got canceled, when he was starting to become popular, everybody was asking me, they're like, what do you think of Andrew Tate? This guy on at first I believe it was TikTok, and I'm like, wait a second. And so, the sound bites that everybody likes to give of him are always the most salacious, most, ridiculous things, right? It's like, oh my God, how could anybody ever say that? But when you really let him, like when you go a little bit deeper, and that's what happened. I was like, I'm going to do a video about this. And so I was ready to go on and be like, oh, he's just an ass, right? But then when you start actually listening, he's a very, very, very intelligent dude. And a lot of his ideas are very, very well thought out. I actually agree. You can't help but agree with a lot of the things that he says. And he does really preach about, really empowerment of, yourself and being a great dude. And so there are so many things that are just amazing with what he says, but there's that other piece of it that if you take it seriously, I think that's where a lot of people, they take it so literally. I think a lot of the things that he says is just to be salacious and to say things, but then there's always a nuance. There's a little bit of truth in a lot of the things that he says, and I think he's net positive as opposed to net negative, which I think a lot of people feel.
Yeah. What if you can pinpoint some of the things? We can highlight obviously some of the negative stuff. We won't go there. We'll be positive. We'll be net positive, as you said. There's self-development, there's building yourself, it's working through things, going through trauma as a man, being a protector, being a provider. There's so many things, there's nuanced things that he discusses that I think any guy can recognize and be like, fuck, I want to get better, faster, stronger, cooler, smarter, tougher, all that. Is there one thing that sticks out to you that was like, yes, Tate, I agree with that right there? Is there one particular thing, or is it more of a holistic approach to being a man that you identify with?
No, I think it's more of a holistic approach to being a man that definitely I identify with. And just being self-sufficient and self-reliant. I think that in and of itself is I think the crux of what it means to be a competent, alpha, if you will, in today's world, is being self-sufficient and taking care of yourself, but also, uplifting other people.
Yeah, being resourceful, being reliable, being resilient. A lot of R's in there. What is it about the manosphere and some of the players in the red pill space that you may take issue with? What do you feel about that?
In terms of the manosphere, I think there's it seems like somebody really hurt them, in terms of there's this, what's the matter? Like, come here, come on. Like,
Give me a hug.
let's go get a beer.
Give me a hug, yeah.
Let's talk. Come here, come on.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's just so much anger in a lot of it, and I feel like there's something that needs to be dealt with, honestly. And women aren't bad. Women aren't the problem. Men aren't the problem. And so, I think that's really what I take issue with. It's this polarization of the sexes, polarization of it's either good or it's bad, or it's either black or it's white, it's toxic or it's not. That's where the problem is. Everything is gray, honestly. You take the extremes of any situation, whether or not it's a diet, it's a workout, it's a political view, a religious view. Anybody who's extreme one way or the other is probably fucking crazy, right? The truth oftentimes lies in the middle. There is a gray area. And that's where the truth, honestly, in my opinion, lies. And so that's the problem that I have with the manosphere, is that somebody, it feels like, hurt them and they haven't dealt with something, or they've never truly been loved, or they need a fucking hug, or they need to be successful and feel good about themselves, and the self-esteem isn't where it needs to be. Now, why? I'm not sure. That's not for me to decide or hypothesize on. But yeah, I think that when you are truly confident in who you are as a person and as a man, there's no need for it, and you don't look to put people down, or you don't look to raise your own status based on tearing somebody else down, whether or not it's a man, it's a woman, or whomever.
Yeah, I think I know you were kind of being tongue-in-cheek of like, who hurt you, but the reality is obviously something must have happened. Example, so you familiar with the MGTOW community? You've heard of this, so which stands for men going on their own way. And I heard that, like, and the literal words, I was like, well, what do you mean they're going on their own way? And like, they've sworn off women or sworn off relationships with women. I said, okay, interesting. Table that for a second. I'll revisit that, because that's something I'm not in that category. And then I started going down the black hole of like what feminism is and being a modern feminist, and there's actually some alignment there, because if you want to use like the polarization or the different ends of the echo chambers, right? If you go left, let's just use that. Feminist, I don't need no man. I'll do it all myself. I would never know. It's like, all right, let me know where that ends up for you, young lady. And then on the MGTOW side of a thing, it's like, I don't need any women. No way. I'm swearing off women. And I went deeper and I realized a lot of them were hurt by women. A lot of these guys were married to a woman. They got divorced. We talk about divorce courts in this country, and about the women get the kids 90% of the time, alimony, everything that goes out with that, child support payments, all that. And they literally were hurt by women. So it's like they'll say, never again. And I don't think that is an appropriate response for reality, meaning, let's say I broke up with a girl and she broke my heart. Even if she took all my money, what am I never going to go out with a girl again? Ever again? I feel like it's a microcosm, a bigger thing. It's like, holy shit, I got fucked by this girl, my wife, whatever. I can't see my kids. But that doesn't mean all women are bad. It's like you also played a role in that. You probably should have got a prenup. So, like, I know we kind of started this conversation with like, who hurt you? But the reality is, so to get to that point, whether you're a feminist or a MGTOW, masculinist, someone hurt you, and basically you're saying never again, and it's a response or reaction to being hurt. I think that's kind of what you're saying, like, do you need a hug? It's like, oh, they need more than a hug. There's a lot of trauma that they've dealt with. And the answer is, that's it, never again. It's be like if you gained a lot of weight and it's like, I will never have a carb again in my life. It's like, dude, have a fucking slice of cake. You're good. I mean, thoughts on what I just kind of expounded upon?
No, I think you're right. I mean, it does. I mean, it's too often, hurt and pain can manifest in a lot of different ways, and you were talking about, the guy that's had something substantial happen to him that has basically robbed him of his confidence or his livelihood. I mean, whatever it may be. And no, I think you're absolutely spot on, is that instead of actually dealing and coming to terms or just really analyzing and compartmentalizing. And like I said, sometimes we're collateral damage and people shit. Well, when you allow other people to dictate and dominate how you choose to live your life, you're going to miss out on a lot of opportunities. You're going to miss out on a lot of beautiful things, and love is one of those things. And so by closing yourself off completely, you're going to be you're never going to be happy, and it's going to manifest in a lot of other areas of your life. And so I agree with you, Adam.
Well said.
There is an argument from, I know, their side. They like to bring a lot of like facts and numbers. And so because they bring all those facts and numbers, and maybe they did go through personal traumas, where does that do you think that whole manosphere and everybody in that community is coming from? They've been hurt, and then they have the facts, and then they combine that together, and now they're reacting in a way out of anger and spite. Do you think that's kind of where that outcome comes from, some of the people out there who come from more of an aggressive way? Like, where do you think that, because yes, someone can be hurt and they can move on from it, but I think there's a difference when you're hurt and then you have support backing up your hurt, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and the other problem is, once again, it's who you choose to listen to, right? Who you choose to be around. And it's the mob mentality oftentimes. A lot of these men, they lose the ability to think for themselves, and they are surrounded. You'll take one nugget, 2 nuggets, 3 nuggets. You can find somebody that's going to support the way that you feel, and when you do, you're going to buy in 100%. And so, unfortunately, you've got a lot of these men that are lost to some degree, or looking for some type of outlet, or looking for somebody to tell them, you're all right, you're awesome, you're this, you're that. And so they find these men that are successful, they find them that are charismatic, that are good looking, or whatever it may be, and they buy in hook, line, and sinker, thinking that they've got the answer, and they support what they do or what they say. And like I said, they lose the ability to really be critical in terms of their thinking and really analyze things. It's easier just to accept. And it's the mob mentality. It's easier to just not think for yourself and do what's easy as opposed to what's hard. And what's hard is actually, looking at things from, different lenses and not, just accepting what somebody says and buying into it and allowing them to dictate your direction in the way that you think.
Well, we're going to take a positive turn here. We're going to go to Positive Town right now. Okay, let's help some men out there with some actual positive advice.
Yes.
Because Aaron's in your ear. They say, who's in your ear? Well, Aaron's in your ear now, all right? So listen up. So one of the things you always hear... Am I
going to get canceled by the manosphere?
No.
Don't worry. Don't keep them in your ear. Don't keep them in your ear.
I don't think there's anything you're saying that is that controversial. So, being authentic and being real is a unique thing these days, and that's you.
Yeah.
So one of the things you always hear with women is that they want the full package, right? I want, what is it? I want 6 figures. I want 6 foot. I want 6 inches. I want 6-pack. I want them to be nice, but not too nice. I want them to like puppies, but don't be gay. I want you to be cool and funny, but not too funny. Don't be too much of a joker. All right. I want you to be rough in the bedroom, not too rough. Can't do there's so many things out there. The women want the full package, but obviously every guy is lacking in some capacity, in some area. So what I want to do is kind of go almost like rapid fire, like checklist from you, who I would consider a high value man, guy who's kind of made it, good looking. Somehow you're older than me. You look great, dude. I want to kind of get your... I
own a skincare company, man.
That's what it is. Well, it's free. Feel free to send them some of the skincare. We'll gladly promote it, and I'll use it.
You want more sponsors? You want more sponsors?
There we go. It's a business arrangement right here. So I kind of want to get your best piece of advice for men who maybe are lacking in certain areas. So, you know, the number one thing, like I said, a girl says to me, she goes, you know, I had a conversation with one of my girlfriends, and they didn't care how fucking broke the guy was. They just want him to be tall and strong. And I was like, they didn't care, like, if he was like homeless. They're like, literally, they didn't. They just wanted him to be tall and strong. So let's talk to the shorter guys out there, the short kings out there. What can the guy that's 5'5", 5'8", 5'7", whatever, what can they do to compete in the sexual marketplace, in your opinion?
Wear boots.
Step one,
boots.
3-inch boots. Boom.
Hey, you said rapid fire. Wear boots. It's going to add 2 inches to you. And, you know, get a hairstyle like mine that is a little bit taller and not necessarily long and floppy. The other thing you can do is dress properly. You know, style is the great equalizer to some degree. You know, we weren't all blessed with, you know, Greek godlike body or to be 6 feet tall, but there are ways that you can dress in order to accentuate or make yourself visually look taller. It's almost like style, smoke, and mirrors, right? Monochromatic looks, avoid the patterns, wear clothes that fit, that are tailored. If you're a short guy, you definitely need to get your clothing tailored because you can't go into a store if you're 5'6" and buy an inseam that's going to fit. It's going to puddle at your ankles. And so spend the extra money on getting your clothes tailored. When you're wearing something that fits you properly, it makes you look taller, more muscular, and definitely more attractive.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because women can wear 6-inch high heels or 4-inch high heels. What's wrong with the dude, you know, getting a kind of a 2-inch platform shoe? There's nothing wrong with that. There's actually a shoe company. There's actually a shoe company I've seen.
All those Alexander McQueen's and all those
Balenciaga, all that.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. You know, we did an interview, speaking of attire, speaking of style, and speaking of dress and looking your best. We did an interview recently with Jordan Peterson. Are you familiar with Jordan Peterson?
Yep.
So Jordan Peterson, you know, clinical psychologist, very smart guy, very opinionated, you know, kind of rails against some of the wokeisms out there and, you know, talks about what it means to be a man. And he's in a 3-piece, just pimp-ass suit. We're not even talking about it. And I say, Jordan, listen, how much of what you're talking about is literally embodied in how you dress? He's like, listen, for all you boys out there, start dressing like a man. And that's kind of what you're saying. So how important is not only style, but dressing like a man, not being a boy?
You know, it's about intention, right? In the first 3 seconds, people are forming opinions. Think of your wardrobe and what you're wearing as your brand, right? And your packaging. And so when you think about it like that, what is the perception? You know, you need to dress in a manner that's consistent with the way you want to be perceived. You know, unfortunately, once again, you know, we can't change the fact that we're not 6 feet tall, but what you can do is dress in a manner that is consistent with the way that you want to be received. If you have 2 people that go in for a job interview, everything being equal, other than the way that they put themselves together and their personal brand or packaging and the style and their clothing and the way that they're coordinated and put together and their smell and their grooming, like these are the things that you can control. And so why wouldn't you control it if you can basically make yourself more attractive, more handsome, you know, more put together? 2 people walk in for the same job or up to the same girl. One dude is dressed well and smells well and has paid attention, and the other person hasn't or is just a little bit off. You're going to win 100% of the time for the guy that's dressed well or pays attention.
Yeah, you nailed it. One of the things that I always say is there's 2 things in life, okay? There's things that matter, and there's things that you can control. And where you should focus is where those 2 things intersect. Things that matter and things that you can control. Example, all right, I think the war in Ukraine matters. I have no control over what Vladimir Putin is going to do. Right. It's something I have no control over, but it matters, okay? What you're saying, like as far as being a man and dressing, is like, it matters, but hey, here's the kicker. you can control that, brother. You can look your best. You can actually, like, it's not about spending $10,000 on a new wardrobe. It's getting some clothes that actually fit you and make you feel good, and then you'll convey a sense of style and manliness to when you walk out the door. And what's better than not only like feeling good, but looking good? I kind of think that's what it comes down to.
Exactly. I mean, what happens is every time a dude puts on a suit, you know, what happens? He stands up a little bit taller, he's more confident, and that emanates. Like, you can't help but feel it when somebody feels like they look good. And so, like I said, yeah, you can absolutely control that. And it doesn't require you to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on, you know, a Rolex watch or crazy expensive Gucci shoes. Like, you can do that, and it's not necessarily about the quantity that you're spending. It's more about being more methodical and disciplined with the way that you purchase and making sure that you understand your body and how clothing is supposed to fit you.
Yeah, I think that, like, I would rather you, the guy at home, go spend $150 at frickin' H&M or Zara and get a suit that fits you and you look good in, then go spend $5,000 at a Louis Vuitton because that's the name brand and it might not fit you as well. Like, fit and cut and style is more important than name brand.
Right.
150% on that.
Or you want to hack for that? Go to Suit Supply.
Exactly.
If you're familiar with the store, like, and that's one of the things. Like,
I have 3 suits from Suit Supply, 100%.
Nice.
Yeah, Suit Supply is for those of you who have a Suit Supply in your area and haven't been in, go and check it out. It's not just suits, but they spend a lot of time, energy, and money making sure that everything is very aesthetic and it's perfect in terms of, you can be 12 years old, not technically, but you could be 12 years old or 102 years old, and it's timeless pieces that are still age appropriate, but they just are tailored perfectly, and the color palettes are all nice. The other thing you can do is go into a department store and look at the mannequins, right? What are they wearing? And going up to the sales associates and asking for some assistance, or just, you don't need to worry about, you know, looking good. And that, the other thing, another takeaway, I guess, Adam, real quick, is one of the reasons why a lot of guys don't dress better is because they're worried about what their friends or their coworkers are going to say, right? And the truth is that you can still look good and you can start evolving stylistically speaking, but just don't go out to the mall, buy, you know, a whole new wardrobe and then just show up. Yes, they're going to notice, right? But start with your shoes. Start with your pants. Change one piece of your outfit and then add to it. And if somebody notices, don't say, oh no, these old things. Like, that's what happens when guys start to grow a beard for the first time, right? They'll be like, oh, they want to grow a beard because beards are sexy, right? Period. Right, Adam?
Right?
Right.
100%.
Okay. Beards are sexy.
So glad I
Everybody
didn't
knows
shave for this episode.
little George Michael designer stubble, right? It's nothing.
Yeah.
But a lot of guys that have never done that, right? They start doing it and somebody notices and it's like, oh, you're growing a beard, huh? And it's like, oh no, I just forgot to shave. I'm like, yeah, right. You edged up your cheek and underneath your jaw. You did not. Own it. Say, yeah, I did. And just sit there. It's okay. Don't worry about it. You're probably going to see them trying those double monk strap shoes next week and growing a beard as well.
You know what's crazy? By the way, how long, you always kind of have a beard or facial hair or stubble, right? I mean,
always.
When's the last time you were clean shaven?
Oh God, I don't even know. I probably had to, I don't know. I have no idea. I literally have had a facial hair as long as I could grow it.
So here's what's crazy. And this is one of the beautiful things about, like, resets or recessions or like stops and pauses and gaps. I'll tell you this story. So I used to be a Miami nightlife guy, South Beach guy, party boy, fuck boy, whatever you want to call me back in the day, my early 20s. I always had a beard, stubble, whatever it was. That was just me, right? Half the time was just 5 o'clock shadow from drinking too much the night before. But I got into financial sales. I said, I got to clean it up. And I started going to these financial meetings. And part of that was obviously wearing a suit, but being clean shaven, right? So what happened was I'd start going to these meetings, and you know what happens when you're shaving, you're clean shaven, you start to get the razor bumps, and it's like every day you need to shave. It gets so annoying as a dude. And what happened was I started in the business. I grinded out, cold caller, making, a year and a half of making no money. Boom, then things pop. Now I'm making 6 figures, so forth, and the third. But what happened was in the middle of that, it was 2008, 2009, recession, everything with that. And I basically realized all this, these rules of business, these rules of engagement, it's all bullshit because we were following the rules and half the fucking companies went out of business. So what I said, is like, I'm just gonna start dressing how I wanna dress, wearing my facial hair, I wanna do it, and that's it. What's my point? I started wearing a beard, rocking a beard, and some guy comes up to me, and I'd met him at the beginning. His name was Richard. I won't say his last name. Older guy, white guy, clean shaven. Comes, beelines up to me, Aaron, and he goes, "What's with the beard?" And I go, "Well, what do you mean?" And he goes, "Well, I would never do business with somebody with a beard." And I go, A, what kind of freaking rule is that? Like, all right. Yeah. B, like, you know what? Am I going to change my whole life for the opportunity to do a business with financial advisor Richard? And I remember in the moment being like, "Richard, I'm going to keep my beard. Best of luck. If you want to do business with me, it's because you actually like the value that I'm bringing to the table, not because of my facial hair." And I swear to God, I don't think I've been clean shaven since that day in like 2008. That was just my deal. So for you, like, you've been rocking the beard. You're starting to get a little grays right here, right? Are you embracing the grays? Like, give me your methodology of the beard. How often you're trimming the beard? What's your? Are you ever gonna dye the grays? Give me a sneak peek.
Hold on, can you see? I'm starting to get gray up in my hair too.
Brother, you have the best hair in the business. Do not complain about the hair, okay?
Yeah. No,
there's a lot of bald dudes out there like, do not fucking talk about your hair, Aaron.
You know what's funny? I'll tell you something funny about me. Just being honest. Yeah. I thought when I was a little bit younger that I was going to be really weird and insecure about getting older. And I thought I was going to be the dude getting Botox. I thought I was going to be the dude that was holding on to his youth with his kung fu action grip as tightly as possible, right? And I thought I would have dyed my hair. But once I started to go gray, I really feel like for me, it's about just being happy and comfortable with where you are. The other thing is, if you take care of your body and exercise, you look good for your age. And so for me, I'm not embarrassed about getting older. I take care of myself. I take care of my skin. Aging is going to happen. What looks ridiculous is the dudes that are 80 years old that have jet black hair and, and can't move their face because that looks fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm embracing it. You know what? I'm getting older. It's okay. I'm very comfortable and happy with where I am. And as long as you take care of yourself physically and do the best job you can, you're good.
Yeah. And Nat,
talk to me when I'm more gray than
no, dude, your head of hair is killing it. Which is my next question about your hair. But I get more and more girls are like, "Adam, I kind of like the salt and pepper thing. I don't know.
I like you with gray.
There it is. See that?
I like you with
gray. You see Aaron, he's got a little.
Yeah, I like the
so
gray.
So what are your thoughts on Aaron's gray, the gray in my hair? Like, what's women's interpretation of a man with style, grace, class, alpha manliness, but is getting that salt and pepper gray? What do you think, Nat?
For me, it's like fine wine.
Ooh.
It's like you're aging, you're becoming into like the man, and you're like settling into who you are. So like when I see gray in a man, I'm thinking to myself, okay, he's obviously a little bit older, so he's probably more settled, he's smarter, he's more experienced. This is somebody, and confident. Because a lot of the time, like you said, like people will dye their hair. Girls, I understand, but when men start dyeing their hair too much and it's jet black, but you're like 62, you're like, your hair's not really black.
You don't have one gray hair.
Yeah,
62,
it doesn't make sense.
Homie.
So I think the gray, it's good. And I think even the older I get, like even I'm seeing also younger men today have gray hair. And I don't know what it is, if it's the food or it's, the stress or whatever it is, but there's something about the gray hair that gives the man that wiseness you kind of assume they have.
Right.
So men, don't be shy of your gray hair.
Exactly.
It's silver. It's not gray.
If I see you sipping on some fine wine with some 62-year-old dude, I'm like, nah, he's a little too old for you, baby. Like, you're 25.
Don't worry.
Okay, stay within a range. Aaron, I know we got about 10 minutes left with you, brother. I'm loving all this. Speaking of great hair, what's your advice for guys who are going bald or are full-on bald right now? What's your advice for those types of guys?
You got a choice to make. Here it is. Ready? Here's your choice. First off, the first step is acknowledging it, right? One of the problems is that if you want your hair and you start to lose it, you can stop it. But you've got to first acknowledge it, right? There are medications out there. There's the company Bosley, right? I love Bosley. I think they're incredible. I do a lot of promotions for them. But the first thing is you got to just identify it. Now, I'm not saying that everybody that loses their hair should stop it or not embrace it. You know what? But you got to be honest about it. Don't cover it up. Don't try to be like, oh no, you know, you see yourself in pictures. That's the other reality, is that we see each other now, you know, ourselves in pictures and Instagram, like we see ourselves. And so if you're losing your hair, acknowledge it first. You know, if you don't want to, go see Bosley, go grab, you know, Propecia or Rogate or whatever it may be, and stop your hair loss. There are other natural supplements out there also, like Nutrafol, which is a natural hair multivitamin. And just do a search for before and after Nutrafol, like really remarkable stuff. A lot of times the hair loss is not necessarily 100% genetic. There are ways that you can, you know, slow or actually stop and regrow your hair. And then if you are losing your hair and you're going to just embrace it, no problem. Chop it off, shave it short, grow some facial hair, little pair, maybe some glasses to add a little interesting detail. Yeah, there it is. Just to help balance your face. You know, one of the things that I'm jealous about, all these bald dudes that just look super badass and sexy, you know, with shaved head, with a little bit of beard. There's nothing in terms of a dude with a good look than a short beard that blends seamlessly into his temples, that's bald. I think it is an incredible, incredible look, and you just need to embrace it, but just don't lie about it or hide it.
Yeah,
and the other thing
true.
is, I would not recommend doing any type of hair piece, because unfortunately, like, think about it like this. You start wearing something like that, you're always thinking about it. You're always worried about it. And I know they've come a long way in terms of this Hollywood hair and the lace weaves and all that. You can do some incredible things, but you're always worried about it. You're confident. You're never truly confident. You're always worried. Can they tell? Can they tell? Can they tell? Can they tell I'm losing my hair? The answer is yes, they can tell. It's not as big a deal as you think it is. And the person that it affects the most is you. So if you don't want to lose your hair, you don't have to, but you got to do something about it.
Yeah. What's the term you use? You said balance. You have to balance it out.
Balance your face.
Yeah. Balance your face.
Balance
one of the
your
problems when you
face.
start to lose your hair.
Yeah.
One of the problems when you start to lose your hair, right, your eye will travel up, right? Because there's, you know, our head is symmetrical. Our eyes are in the center, and then everything is kind of off of that. But as your hair recedes, it basically will cause people's eyes to drift.
Right.
You need something to bring it back down so that they're looking you basically in the eye. And so having facial hair on the chin helps balance and offset that. And the other thing is a cool pair of frames. Think of glasses as a cool, badass accessory you get to wear on your face, not an obligation or a necessity. And so if you get a really cool pair of frames, not only are you going to look more interesting, you're going to look more intelligent, and glasses have been scientifically proven to make dudes more attractive. It also helps balance an asymmetrical face.
Oh yeah, you like those glasses?
I
Yeah,
do like glasses.
I fully agree with the balancing of the face. You know, you talked about guys with shaved head and the beard. I mean, we talked about Andrew Tate, example. There's another guy, Rich Cooper.
See, but he shouldn't have done that tattoo thing that he did.
The tattoo wasn't
Have
a
you
good
not
look?
Oh no, the tattoo thing, that's the thing. Guys that are already bald, that basically shave their head and they get the scalp, the micropigmenting on their hair, it very seldom looks natural. And
You're saying the tattoo on his head?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking
he
about the tattoo of the
No.
You're
Not
saying that he got the
one's cool.
micro.
Yeah.
Really?
Breaking news.
And the
We
way
just
that
broke
you
some
can
news
tell-
when it.
No, this is not news.
No,
And
I
his
didn't
brother,
even know
got
that.
a hair transplant, right? Yeah,
So-
all these guys are going to like Turkey to get hair transplants and stuff, which look great.
LD.
I mean, shit, they look good.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, oftentimes you'll be able to tell if somebody looks like they've got stubble or like they've shaved, but their head's super shiny.
Yeah.
That's basically a telltale sign that it is micro.
So if you're going bald,
I'll be on the lookout.
If you can't grow it up top, grow it at the bottom is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't be walking
You know, do you
around like
remember-
you just got out of chemo.
You ever
Sorry.
hear about
Or the womb.
Fousey Tube? You know Fousey Tube? You remember Fousey
Yes.
Tube? They got the
Yes.
Okay, he did that same because if you get a bad job, you're fucked. Like if it doesn't look good, if it doesn't look natural, it's really tough. I did not make the best tattoo decisions when I was younger, right? And so I went and had tattoos removed because they were so bad. And but you can't, I don't think, necessarily do that from your head, and so you're stuck with whatever they do.
All right. Last couple questions for you, brother. I really appreciate what we got going on today. I want to get into a little bit about dating, relationships, so you can give some game to the fellas out there. We talked about appearance. Other than appearance, what kind of tips, what's the first thing that comes to mind? What can men do, say, act, look, confidence? What can they do to get more attention from women? Because it is typically the guy that has to go up, hey, how you doing, whatever. How can a guy get more attention when it very rarely happens, but how can a woman come up and say, hey, I noticed, by the way, like, give me some tips for men to get more noticed by women.
Like eye grabbers for women.
Eye grabbers? Well, helping other people. This is not a sexy answer.
There we go.
But helping other people, if you do something nice, like give somebody a compliment. That's like giving somebody a compliment or like opening the door for somebody. People notice acts of kindness, and we are attracted to people that we feel are kind and that would basically treat us that way. And so, being a good person and not being a dick is definitely something, but that's not as sexy as, dressing well, working out, taking care of your body, obviously, is definitely something. And your smile, right? If you smile at people, another amazing thing is that your smile, you can really control. Even if you have a jacked up grill, you can have a white smile. There are so many different procedures now where you can have a better smile. And so if you're not smiling at somebody, that's definitely something to address. Life's too short to be insecure about the way that you smile. It's our number one most powerful communication tool other than the way that we smell. And so that's the other thing. You can smell great.
I think that's such a powerful point right there. So like when I told you that when I used to be a South Beach nightlife guy and then I got into financial sales, I was cold calling, and we used to say, hey, it's time to smile and dial, because people can sense, and they'd also tell you to stand up. They can sense that I'm standing up. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, like they can sense that, and that's over the phone when they can't see you when you're making calls. So now just imagine being that person in public, being nice, opening doors, treating people with respect, smiling, being kind, but also being a man. There's such a powerful thing you just said there. Yep. Sometimes just smile. I learned that in How to Win Friends and Influence People. Yeah. People like people that smile. So.
And put your phone away. That's another pro tip, is put your phone away. When you're standing there in line at Starbucks or the bar or whatever, the de facto defense mechanism now is just grab your phone and look at your phone. Well, you're going to miss out. Nobody's going to come and talk to you if you're looking at your phone. Instead, look for opportunities to say hello, look for opportunities to engage people, but put your phone away. It's become such a unfortunate piece of our daily life, and it's almost it's a security blanket at this point. People are looking at their phones. They're not even looking for anything. They just don't want to look bored, or they don't want to look like they're not, talking. Or I just think that if you start learning to put your phone away and really being present in the different situations, you're going to see opportunities to talk to people, to engage with people, and people are going to engage with you more, or saying hello and smiling, or giving somebody a compliment. And one tip I'd like to just, leave people with is small talk. If you can become great at small talk and making conversation, it's literally like a superpower. Yeah. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, I'm so uncomfortable, I don't know what to say. It's about practice. Anything that you want to do, that you want to get better at, you just need to practice, right? And so practice on people that don't matter. And what I mean by don't matter, it doesn't mean that they're not good people or real people. But practice on people that there aren't high stakes, cashiers at restaurants, people that if you fuck it up or you say something stupid, it's no big deal, right? You don't have to see them, and you're not potentially going to lose anything. Start practicing saying hello and engaging and asking questions, being interested, and giving compliments. Compliments are another thing that'll absolutely get you amazing benefits and results socially, right? Giving somebody a compliment, whether or not it's a dude, it's a woman, like whoever. Because A, it's impossible not to like somebody who gave you a compliment, and B, it's a lot of times easy to start a conversation at that point as well. And so, a few things for men, we can compliment things like, hey, I really love your shoes, or that sweater is awesome, or not like, hey, your hands are buttery soft, or yeah, just weird. Just
want to go on long walks.
Don't get weird, but yeah, giving compliments and looking for opportunities to give compliments to people is something that is incredibly powerful as well.
Well said, and you look great while doing it. And that's a compliment, my friend. And I'm smiling while I'm doing it. There it was. So true, and I believe it's called banter. Nothing better than banter, especially with a chick. Boom, 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 bam, banter. Try it with the cashier. I like that. Last question for you, dude. And I would love to have you back again. And I'm gonna have, after we do this, I'm gonna make sure that we can exchange info and connect for sure, brother. This has been great. I feel like you have so much knowledge and so much game. And dude,
I'm just old, dude. That's what it is. I'm fucking old.
And
gray hair.
it's the perfect age. It's the perfect age because you're old enough to remember. Like I always say, I used to remember have to call girls' houses, and the dad would pick up to get Kelly on the phone to ask for a date, right? Like you remember those days. You remember black and white TVs, as old as that sounds. You remember those, but you're also young enough to understand YouTube, social media, social dynamics. So you're the perfect age. I think I'm the perfect age. I think like guys in their late 30s, early 40s are like, we have such an advantage because we know the old world and the new world, and we have such good balance regarding that. You know, like we said,
grew up
balance
without
the
social
face.
media.
Exactly. We grew up without social media, but we're also, you know, killing it on social media.
Right.
But here's my last question for you, Aaron. So a guy takes your advice. He's looking good. He's feeling good. He's smelling good. He's smiling. He's doing his hair. He's working out. He's doing everything that Alpha M talks about. He gets the girl's number. He's good. Now it's time to put it all together and take the girl out on a first date. All right, listen up here, fellas. So in your expert opinion, what is the ideal first date? Right? Where should he take a girl? And how much money should a guy spend on a first date? And then here's the trick. What should his outcome be? What should his goal be of the first date? So in your opinion, give me all of that. The lay of the land.
There's like 18 questions in one.
So, but ultimately it's give me the first date. Give me the details. What should it be? How much should you spend? And what should the outcome of the first date be?
Okay, let me reverse engineer this. The outcome should not be sex, right? The outcome should be to figure out whether or not you want to go out with this person again. In terms of the date, do not do anything that is going to limit your ability to actually talk and get to know the person. Something fun and light, something active is ideal. You know, just going to a bar for drinks isn't necessarily what I would recommend, even though a lot of guys think, well, you know, it's good because it's going to allow me to kind of open up and not be so nervous. It's also the recipe for you making really bad decisions, and it's not going to give you an accurate read in terms of, you know, what this person is actually like, I feel. And so, you know, possibly, I mean, God, it really depends on the person and what you're into. But I think dinner is not out of the question on a first date. I think coffee is kind of a weird first date. But in terms of how much to spend, it really depends on you. But understand that you're setting the precedent. Like if you try to like kill it on the first date and you're like, oh, we're going, you know, and we're going to something really nice and you're spending a lot of money, you know, that's the best that it's going to get, right? You're setting yourself up for a disaster. Potentially. But yeah, I think it really boils down to, you know, where you are, what you're doing, what you enjoy doing, what she enjoys doing, or whoever you're taking out, and having the ability to really just kind of, you know, be yourself if at all possible and do something active. You know, sporting events are another great thing. You know, flea markets are awesome. There's all sorts of amazing date ideas that doesn't require a lot of money either. And so, you know, going to, if asking, hey, do you have a dog? Do you have a, you know, if they have a pet, you know, hey, let's go do something together or take the dog. I mean, there's so many, you know, different opportunities. I was not prepared for this question. I don't know.
You're like, I haven't been on a first date in here. Well, here, let me.
I've been with my wife for 20 years.
Wow.
Stop it. You've been with your wife 20 years, dude.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
All right,
So,
then I got to get one more question in. But by the way, so I'll give you, let me get that last question. Here's my advice out there to guys on a first date. And you're talking to a guy who's been on a ton of first dates, not a ton of 10th dates, if you know what I mean. So you talked about moderation, not too much of this, not too much of that. You definitely don't want to take her to the nicest restaurant in town, for sure, on a first date. But you also don't want to take her to the shittiest restaurant in town. You pick a nice, cool restaurant that's fun, that's, you know, let's say 3 out of 5 stars. Let's just say maybe 4, but definitely not 2, definitely not 5. Here's the trick. You don't sit at a normal one-on-one table like it's a freaking job interview and you have a literal barrier between you. It just feels very interviewee, right? So what I like to do is cozy up to the bar. Now we're sitting next to each other, right? If it ever gets awkward, there's a bartender that'll kind of make it be like, oh, you two are cute together. Maybe you slip the bartender a 20 to tell you that. Hey, now we're cute together, whatever. But now, and you don't drink too much, maybe 2 drinks, maybe you're doing appetizers. It's not like we're doing a full-on 5-course meal. You order the calamari, maybe a pizza, a salad. You're sharing it. You each have a drink or 2. I've gone down the path where I've gotten too drunk on a first date. Don't need that in your life.
Yeah.
But next thing you know, if there's chemistry, there's no barrier in the middle. You're at the bar next to each other. And next thing you know, your hand's on her leg. You kind of you're having this. And then you say, all right, it's time to take you home. We got to get you home early. I know you have a big day tomorrow. And you end the date. And the girl's like, what the fuck just happened here?
Yeah.
This guy was great. Anyway, not that I've ever done that before, but that would be my advice to all you players out there.
Yes.
Cozy up to the bar, have a couple drinks, not too many. Don't sit at a table, and you end the date. You take her home early. The last thing you want to do is her be like, well, it's getting late. Time to go. No. You lost already, brother. That's my advice. Okay, so since I know that you're now married, and I just got endorsed by Alpha M, he said that was perfect. So
Yeah.
he knows.
Thumbs up.
See, I got to steal that now.
Last question. I know we're a few minutes over, bro. What's been the key to being married for 20 years, dude? What's been your secret to success?
Not doing stupid shit in terms of, and how do I put this? For me, when I was drinking a lot, right? If you put yourself in bad situations or scenarios, you're probably going to make bad decisions. And so for me, there were a few things. Number one, don't drink in excess because it's really, really difficult to. Okay, let me back this up. Okay, let me try this again. All right, here it is. Listen, no, okay, no, but it's grow up, right? Because if you're thinking that you're going to have and maintain a healthy relationship, and if you put yourself in situations where you are opening up potential problems with, flirting with other people or, talking to other people, if you put yourself in those situations over enough times, you're going to probably do it. And so for me, I don't go out to bars and go drinking with my buddies. It's just not something that I'm interested in doing. I also, you've got to communicate. It doesn't mean you have to grow in the same direction. It doesn't mean that you've got to become one person, but you need to understand like what the person needs and what you need in return, and just be there for each other. The other thing is when you deal with hard shit together, that also oftentimes will bring you closer together. At least it did my wife and myself. And so, there's a lot of growing that happens though. Over 20 years, I mean, that's a very long time. Yeah. And so, just looking out for the other person, having their best interest in mind and not being selfish.
Yeah. These selfies these days make you selfish. Aaron, Alpha M, Marino in the house. Thank you, brother.
Yes.
I really, there's people that you're thinking, he's cool, but he does his thing on YouTube. You don't know what he's going to be like in real life, though. Yeah. This is the beauty of live, because, we're live right now. There's no, let me read my script, my answers, and I don't know, 10 out of 10.
10
Amazing.
out of 10,
awesome.
I would recommend.
Well, I'm a fan now.
Yes,
I'm a fan and a new friend.
Yes.
Aaron, where can people find you if they don't know you just yet?
alphaM.com, or just go to Alpha M and or search that in YouTube, and you can find all my stuff.
And it all pops up. All right, dude, I really appreciate it. I'll make sure to connect afterwards. And if you talk to Marnie before I do, give her my love, will you?
Yes,
Shout out to Marnie Wingirl for helping us out.
I
here.
absolutely will. She's the best.
All
Guys,
right, bro.
thank you so much,
Georgie.
I really appreciate
let's
it.
say bye to Aaron, but Natalia and I are going to keep things going. Dude, thank you.
Thanks,
guys.
you.
Peace out.
Peace.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you, Georgie. Wow.
That was awesome.
I really like that dude.
I really enjoyed him too. He was a very genuine, authentic man. And I think today, especially with, everybody trying to keep up with the Joneses and social media, it's almost rare to find men like that, So when you find men who really are a man of their word, it's refreshing for a woman. You're like, okay, there are still good men out there. So I really enjoyed it. I think he gave really good advice, even for my short gentlemen, my short kings out there. I like short men. So I think he gave very valid advice when it comes to those. So.
Matt likes short dudes.
I don't mind eye level men. Like, I don't really mind.
You got Angel over there smiling ear to ear.
But I also don't like tall men. I went on a date with a 6'7" gentleman, and we were almost like, we like fit well, but he was just too tall. I was like, this is not gonna
He tried
work.
to dunk on you the whole time. I know how that goes.
He's like, where are you at?
Anyway, I really respect what Aaron had to say. I thought he had a lot of knowledge.
Yes.
What I thought was interesting, my biggest takeaway was how he could balance being in the male advice sector and being a man and like even defending Tate and like kind of the things he says in a certain perspective, but also at the same time recognizing like, who hurt you, dude? Like, you don't have to be a dick. Like, you don't have to be mean. Like, you can kind of have balance. Life is all about moderation and balance.
Yes.
If you're too extreme one direction or the other, it doesn't work out well for you.
But do you think sometimes people in the world need extremists to get points across?
Yeah.
Like, for example, like, I think having someone like an Andrew Tate, it was great, and having him is great because it shows you, you have someone who's a big extremist, but in between, like he said, that gray area, a lot of the time people can fall in that gray area and that's where they need. Or you have somebody on the complete opposite side where you're like, oh, that's exactly what I don't want, what I don't need. So I think sometimes even having the extremists are necessary in the world because somebody may not have a role model. So those extremists may show a point where they're like, wow, I needed that from somebody who's full on aggressive and I'm doing this and I believe this and this is how it's going to be and there's nobody changing my mind. So I do think there is value in extremists, but I wouldn't say that everybody is going to fall in that realm. Now, the gray area, I think he was very, 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 very true when it comes to that gray area. That's where a lot of people land.
Yeah, I think what I've come to realize is that most guys in whether you call it the manosphere or the male self-improvement space, most guys are actually telling you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, right? So a lot of the knock on masculinity these days is like, it's okay to be soft, it's okay to be emotional, it's okay to be intelligent, it's okay to be overweight, it's okay that that you're not getting girls, it's okay. It's a lot of like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Dude, it's not fucking okay.
Yeah, right? Get it together.
Get it together. Clean it up a little bit. Look your best. Feel your best. Make money. Get your ass in the gym. Like, the truth hurts sometimes.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need a dude being like, listen, motherfucker, you're fat, you're lazy, you look like shit, you smoke weed all day.
And you smell.
Yeah. And by the way, shout out to Manscaped. Clean it up. Clean up the
Clean it up.
So guys naturally bust balls. All like my favorite people I meet on like not too much. I don't need you like coming in thinking you're
Roasting,
fucking homie the clown roasting me.
Yeah.
But hey, you motherfucker. Like I like guys like those kind of guys are okay with getting their balls busted a little bit.
Yeah.
So point is soft stuff. They're like, no, you can't say that. Not here. This is a soft zone. What is it called? Like a no hurt zone, whatever the hell on campuses these days.
Do you think it's the same for girls? Do you think girls like other girls coming in?
No, that's my point. Is that guys are okay with that.
Yes.
Guys are okay with
What are you
your
doing?
outfit looks like shit, bro. Go. Oh, I'll go change.
Yes.
You'd say that to a girl. Oh, your outfit looks shit. That ruined her night. She might not even go out. Men and women are different.
So careful, man.
Clean it up, gentlemen. Okay, like we talked about with MLD, your best friend.
Yeah.
Make your money, save that money, be smart with your money.
Yeah.
Right? Get your ass in the gym, make muscles, look your best. Alpha M, wear a suit, feel good. Stop dressing like a boy, dress like a man.
Yes.
Game, understand. There's different types of game. There's guys who are hilarious, funny. They got funny game. There's guys that are smooth. They all know all the lines, right? There's super smart guys. Like the guy we did in the interview today,
Yes.
Vivek.
Yes.
Oh my
Genius.
God.
You were talking to me about
I was like,
him.
holy shit. Like this guy's just so freaking smart. There's different types of game out there. Double down on the game that you're good at. Like I know my game when I go out is very like, personable, making people feel good. Know your game. Some people are super funny. Some people are laid back and they're just kind of like like just snake chilling in the grass. Boom, pounce. Like know your game is what I'm saying.
Oh, I like that actually.
Yeah, of course.
Adam.
Double down on that. I'm never going to be the smartest dude in the club.
That's
For
okay.
sure. Not going to be there with a book and a pipe being like, Socrates once quoted, that's not my game. That's not me.
That's not your game.
And if your game is that, don't be in a club.
Yes.
Be in like a low-key lounge where you could use your words, right?
How would you say the best way a man could find where his strongest game is? What advice would you say? Like, you have a guy who's like, I'm pretty well-rounded, but I don't really know, like, where I'm best at. Like, I'm kind of funny, but I'm really shy. Like, what would be advice to a man? Okay,
so I
like
guess
that?
the first two things that come to mind is, number one, do a personality test.
Okay.
Okay, like, if you don't know the answer, if you can't look in the mirror and be like, dude, you're not funny at all, bro. Take a personality test.
Yeah.
And it'll reveal kind of what you are. And then here's the that's easy. Just do a personality test. The harder thing to do is ask a couple of your best friends, guys, I need to do a self-assessment. And I don't want to do it myself. So you're my 3 best friends. Where am I lacking right now? What am I dope at? Just tell me.
Yeah.
Give it to me. And they're going to be like, yeah, bro, like, you know, you're corny as shit, dude. I love you, bro, and that's cool with us, but the girls aren't going to be feeling the corny-ass jokes. Or, dude, you dress like it's still 1990s and you're wearing Jinko jeans. Clean it up a little bit. Like, this is my point, is that guys will tell you not what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. And if you open it up to them and be like, all right, bro, roast me. Like, roasts are the best thing. Like, hire your boys to do a roast for you.
Yeah.
Hire your boys to be like, we're doing a roast.
I think we should do a live roast for you.
What's the occasion? There's no occasion. I'm just trying to get roasted and learn something from this.
I like that.
Maybe
I
we'll
think
do a
for
roast.
ladies, all the gentlemen, maybe you need your girl to kind of get like a recheck. Maybe have like their sisters or maybe have their best friends do it as well. That would be the best way for a girl too. I love that advice.
Yeah.
I think that's
you
really,
want to
really
roast
important.
me? You want to get a roast? Saz roast?
Let me start by. I'm just kidding.
By the way, how dope is that shot right there? I'm
Yeah,
looking at that
good
right there.
shot.
By the way, do we have any super chats? Is anyone we want to give
Angel,
a shout
do we
out
have
to?
any
Is there
super
anyone we got to
chats?
do this
There
to?
was 2.
There was 2. We had 2.
What's in the chat?
Let's see.
Well, MLD was on. He was
MLD.
right.
All right, we
He
gave
got
him a
the best
shout
friend
out.
shout out.
Okay.
Oh,
Anyone
nice.
else?
Very good for him.
But,
Anyway.
He talked about being forgiving, so that was very refreshing as well. He talked about, you can forgive and you can.
Who said that?
The gentleman we have on today, Aaron.
Aaron.
And he said there's value in that, and there's stuff where you don't hold on to like the past, and So for me, I love that. I thought that was very powerful that he gave that advice. Forgive and no hard feelings. Like let him do his thing. I'm proud of you. Do your thing, man. Like, but forgive and you move on and continue to do what you do.
Well, now,
I love that.
Listen, I just want to publicly say this. I forgive you.
Oh,
Okay,
God.
you weren't the nicest to me earlier, and
I
forgive
wasn't.
you.
You're right. You're right. I was a little tired.
You're a
but-
little sassy pants,
I was a
but
little
I forgive
tired.
you. You were
Thank
dealing
you.
with some shit. And
Thank you.
Angel, I couldn't possibly forgive you because you haven't done me wrong yet, bro. You just keep staying on my good side.
Yes.
Never will,
And
brother.
Georgie, same for you. Anyway, thank you guys. This was sort of a quick show. Friday, we appreciate Aaron being on with us.
Yes.
Alpha M, what a G. What an
Yeah, I
absolute
loved
G.
him.
And
Do you have the chats? Do you
what's
want him
that?
To read the chats?
We got 2 super
Do you have
chats.
them? Go
Yeah,
ahead, give him a
yeah.
shout out.
Shout out to Salsa Dude, $5. He said, "Happy Friday" to my mommy, Natalia.
Nice.
And second one was SN Network. Shout out to them, $200.
Nice.
They said, shout out to Adam and the Soul Boy crew. Keep doing your thing.
Soy boy.
Wow. So who's that dude?
SN Network.
All right,
He didn't
SN
even-
Network.
Yes.
Respect to you, bro. Let me give you a little shout out. SN Network.
Yes.
Out here on the Soscast, giving a plug. Respect to you. Appreciate that. Anyway, guys, happy Friday. Don't do anything you'll regret this weekend.
Yes.
Make it to Monday. It's a long weekend. Shout out to one of my heroes, MLK. It's not about the color of your skin, but the content of your character. We're building character around here, helping you become the man that you want to become, the better version of yourself.
I love it.
I have a dream that all men out there can be men of status, wealth, looks, game, and frame, all of it. I have a dream that you men can improve. I'll stop right there. All of a sudden. Anyway, thank you guys for being with us. Thank you, Alpha M, for being on. If you haven't subscribed to Valuetainment Money, this is what we're doing every Thursday and Friday out here. We got some special stuff that we're cooking up in the kitchen. But we appreciate you guys for being with us on a Friday. Enjoy the weekend. Don't do anything stupid. Be smart
Be
and save
safe.
that money. All right, we out. Let's get some smoke out
Smoke.
here. Jorge
Get some
with the smoke.
smoke.
Anyway,
Nice.
peace out, guys. We'll
Bye,
see you next
guys.
time.
Nice.
That's a guy.
Very good. You gave some good tips, Mike.